City of Coolidge City Council. First order of business, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Tom Bagnall.
Present.
Councilmember Audrey Saavedra.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Councilmember Ian Gillespie.
Here.
Vice Mayor Tatiana Murrieta. And Councilmember Tom Shope.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Norma. Item number 3 is under presentations. First presentation on the criminal law update and crime trends presented by the Pinal County Attorney's Office. I think I see, there he is. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Do you have a copy of the presentation? It was given beforehand. I have a stick as a backup. The members of the council should have received it beforehand.
Get this. Well, his representative gave it to him.
It should just be one. Thank you for your patience, Mayor and council.
No problem.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I really appreciate it. I am your Pinal County attorney, which means that I am your prosecutor here in Coolidge and across the county. I've been going around to the various town councils to talk about criminal law updates. And the reason why I think is important, not only for the council to know what's happening in their community, which I know you do receive a lot of information, as do I, but just from the prosecution perspective. You know, you have a fantastic police chief here, and he provides some information, but he doesn't necessarily have some of the prosecution statistics that I'm going to talk about here tonight. I think the other important part is to talk to members of the community about what is happening in their community. Specifically, we're going to show some slides here that talk about street-level data, and I'm not going to go too into the weeds. If any members of the council or any members of the public have additional information they would like to ask, we can actually go down to the street level and show you where the crime is at here in the town of Coolidge. And so I want to talk and get into this here today because I think it's very informative and instructive. But the biggest thing that I wanted to highlight is when I came into office, we set policies, as do all elected officials, and we want to show some of the results of those policies. And of course, in the criminal law realm, those things take time, and so we want to show you what's actually happening and where the trends are going. And so with that, Mayor, I'd like to get into some of these slides. Now, I want to lead with probably the most important number, is that homicides are down 86% as of last year, which I think is important. Now, I want to go back a couple of years. In 2023, Coolidge recorded actually 7 first-degree murder cases, which is an extraordinary amount of concentration in one town. In 2024, it dropped to 3, and then in last year, the first year of my administration, this town had 1. Which is an 86% reduction in homicides over 3 years. Now, I know there are multiple factors for this type of thing, so I just want to give you the information. We're not here to say exactly what is the cause of why some of these numbers are going up and some of these numbers going down. I think we're going to get that information as we go along over the next few years during the term of my administration. But I think this is significant. And I think this relates to, how well we're working with the Coolidge Police Department, our local federal partners, and also really kind of a localized approach. One of the policies that implemented in my office is we actually like to have a prosecutor come out to the town and actually sit in the police department. Now, we wish it could happen more often, but because of staffing and other things, we can't do it all the time. But we do get information about what's actually happening in the community. That information gets rolled up and then eventually passed up to me, so we can try to react to the needs and the things that we're seeing in the community. And we think some of these reductions are related to some of that coordination that we have with your police department and your police chief. Second, violent offenders are truly being accountable. While homicides have plummeted, aggravated assault prosecutions have nearly doubled, rising from 14 in 2024 to 27 in 2025. Now, of course, this is not a contradiction. It means we are intervening what we believe earlier and charging much more aggressively on these types of crimes before violence escalates to the most serious level, to those homicide levels. In 2025, our assault charges included attacks on first responders, strangulation-related domestic violence offenses, deadly weapons offenses, but we are truly sending a clear message that if you act seriously and you commit violence in Coolidge, you will face felony consequences. And in some case, we won't even give a plea deal because some of these people are so violent that they don't deserve a plea. They deserve to go to trial, and they deserve to be locked up, put in prison for a long period of time, away from members of the community. Third, and we're going to get into the slides here in a little bit, but third is drug enforcement. I wanted to highlight this issue. Now, drug offenses remain the single largest category of crime here in Coolidge, with 100 charges in 2025, consistent with 2023 and, of course, in 2024. But the concentration's different, and that's where I wanted to highlight for you all here today. Dangerous drugs, primarily methamphetamines and amphetamines, account for 65% of all drug charges. And so we've decided to refocus our enforcement toward these substances. And more importantly, we're going after the supply-related activities, not just possession. Sale and trafficking charges have gone from 1 in 2024 to 6 in 2025. And in one drug incident in 2025, it occurred near a school zone, which triggers enhanced penalties under Arizona law. So we're just not counting arrests. We're looking for ways to target those folks. When we do have enhancements, we will use those enhancements to keep you safe and the community safe. Number 4, weapons and firearms enforcement. Weapons offenses rebounded from 5 in 2024 to 9 in 2025, so it's actually gone up. And the change and the charges tell the story. For the first time, we are prosecuting prohibited person possession and sale of weapons for felony commission. We're going after these folks. If a person has a felony or they have not received their rights restoration, we will charge them with a crime because they shouldn't be owning and possessing a gun. Now, of course, we're very much defenders of the Second Amendment, but if your rights have been taken away, then you should not be possessing a firearm, or we will charge you with that. Now, these are proactive, upstream enforcement actions, taking guns out of dangerous hands. And what we're seeing all across Pinal County is that the people who are committing crime are the people who have already committed crime, those repeat offenders. So we're trying to target those folks. Number 5, property crime. And this is the important piece. Property crime is, in fact, declining here in Coolidge. Theft charges dropped by more than half, from 21 in 2024 to just 9 in 2025. Vehicle theft fell from a peak of 12 in 2024 to just 4 last year. Burglaries went from 18 in 2024 to 5 in 2025. Residents and business owners should know that these quality of life crimes are really trending in the right direction. Felony level focus across all 3 years, so from 23, 24, and 25, our felony prosecution rate in Coolidge has remained consistently high. Now, what the felony rate is what percentage of crimes do we charge that are felonies? Because the focus of my administration are on those repeat offenders, as I mentioned, violent criminals, sex offenses, and drug offenses. And so we want to know what percentage of crime is a felony level. And in last year, 81% of the crimes charged here in Coolidge, to target those specific folks, the ones I just mentioned, those are the types of crimes that we're charging. 81% of all crime in Coolidge are those types of felony crimes. And that tells you we're not inflating the numbers. We're not here for statistics. We're here to keep people safe. That's the point, and that's why we're given this information. Our resources are directed at the most serious criminal activity, affecting people in your community. Protecting the vulnerable. In 2025, we charged 12 sexual offenses, including new charge types like sexual extortion that reflect the evolving nature of these crimes. We also filed 3 sex offender registration failures. So sometimes in past administrations, these things kind of get pushed off to the side, just charged with a misdemeanor. But those folks, like I said, the best predictor of crime are people who have committed crime. And so those people who have refused to register, sometimes we've given them warning after warning after warning. They refuse to register, we're done with that. We're now charging them with a felony, as it should be. And this category was absent in many years prior. This means we are actively monitoring compliance and holding registered offenders accountable when they fail to meet their obligations. Because the last thing we want to see is a person who has not registered walking around in one of your city parks or around a school. My office takes these crimes against vulnerable populations, which include children, families, and victims of sexual violence, with seriousness. All right, so those are the main statistics. I want to talk about kind of the way ahead. Now, the trends are moving in the right direction here in Coolidge, especially on homicides and property crimes. But of course, the work is never done. As your police chief tirelessly goes out into the community and polices. But aggravated assaults are up. Drug activity remains a real big problem. And here's the thing that I really want to remain focused of, is DUI charges remain very, very high, which means you have dangerous drivers going around the city of Coolidge. Unfortunately, across Pinal County, my office responds to almost 1 DUI-related death a week. We just had one last week. It's very, very sad situations. It's something that we never want to see. And unfortunately, these types of DUI crimes affect people who are just out there having a good time. Teens, people leaving for their graduation. You know, we're in graduation season. That's the last thing we want to see for any member of our community. So we need to continue to police these. I want to leave you with this before I get to some of the street level data, because I know we need to move on, but I really want to leave you with 3 numbers. One is that the homicide rate is down to 1 last year. Let's get even lower next year. Second, 27 aggravated assault prosecutions last year. We want to aggressively intervene before things get worse. The same thing on the domestic violence front. We see domestic violence, low-level misdemeanor domestic violence rise to felony level, which leads to homicide. If we can intervene early, provide resources, and provide prosecution and criminal justice, then hopefully we can prevent these crimes. And then finally, 65% of all drug charges now target dangerous drugs and methamphetamines, because we're going after the substances and not just possession, but those traffickers. All right, so let's get into some of our street level data, and we can provide more specific data if the council or any members of the public request this. We could also provide this PowerPoint presentation, including my notes that I'm reading off of. We could provide this all to the public, okay? And it's not working. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, so I want to jump right into 2025 and not bury the lead. So as you can see, the concentration of crime in your city. So what we did is we actually mapped every crime from 2025, and we can tell you what each of these dots mean. But what I want you to really look at is not necessarily the specific locations. I want you to see the concentration as we move throughout the years. So if you look at 2025, I'm going to move to 2024, then 2023, and then we're going to go back to 2025. If it will work. There we go. 2024. 2023. And you can see by looking at this data how much is around the 87 in the Main Street area. Now, I'm going to go back to 2025. Now, if you think Here's what I noticed when I looked at the data, and you all can make your own estimations. But what I'm starting to see is more a spread out concentration. You're not seeing such a concentrated areas of criminal activity. And so what we need to understand is the why. I can't tell you exactly the why some of these crimes are happening on the east side of the town. But we're looking into that data. We're going to start going into the specifics of those particular people, and we're going to provide that information to your police chief so that we can see if we can head some of this stuff off at the pass. Because it would please me, and I'm sure it would certainly please you, if I can come here next year and present data, and there's half fewer dots here on this map. With that, that's all I have for tonight. I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, but I would invite any questions from the members of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I can tell you one thing about the dots. If this is the east side over here, you have a whole different type of property over there for the most part.
Yep.
I'd be interested to know what the charges were
Yep.
on those properties as opposed to the ones up and down the boulevard. I think they'd probably be different type offenses that were charged. So that would be and I jotted down a few things.
Sure.
Are the
And then, Mayor, we can get you that data. I'm having some of my staff write this down right now.
Okay. And are the declines in our statistics because there's no likelihood of a conviction on a lot of our charging, and so it's not going to grand jury, or if it goes to grand jury, there's no true bill, or what? I mean, what's the situation on some of those? If we're seeing a lot of them are not getting through, or we're just not, I know that they're making a lot of arrests.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would like to answer that. Here's the thing with any type of data is always the question of why. And I wish I could pinpoint to one thing of saying this one factor leads to these effects, but with only a few years worth of data and only really 1 year worth of data with our updated policies, I can't tell you exactly why we're seeing the effects that we are. But I can tell you that we're working very hard. You have a fantastic police department here, a good police chief, and we are working hard and integrating with them to understand what is actually happening in your community. But what we can say is what we're seeing, and that's these statistics. We do know that murders are going down, which is statistically significant, and we are seeing aggravated assaults going up, which is statistically significant. I can't tell you exactly why that is, but those are the numbers that we see. We can drill down into the data, but I think with more data and more years behind us, we'll be able to give you probably more accurate predictions.
well, with the aggravating assaults going up, I think our murder statistics can eventually go up a little. I mean, that would be my guess.
Not if, and that was kind of one of the points I wanted to highlight to you, Mayor, and members of the council, is I think the exact opposite. If we can intervene early, because we see, unfortunately, a lot of murders, a lot of deaths in our community. And what we can see is that if intervention had occurred earlier, that there are signs sometimes, not always, but there are signs sometimes that if we intervened earlier, provided services or resources through either our victim services department or one of our other departments, we have a whole department on diversion to try to reach out to some of these folks. If we could get them into VA treatment facilities, if we can intervene earlier, we think we could potentially help. Now, of course, we can't prevent everything, but we can help in those circumstances. And by us charging aggravated assault more heavily, we think we can also assist with that homicide rate. And that's why I wanted to highlight, remember, these numbers are not cases filed to my office. We can get you that data. And of course, your police chief can provide that too. But what we're providing to you tonight are prosecutions, cases that we've actually prosecuted and we've actually filed charges on. And those are going up.
Okay, yeah, that makes a difference because I was wondering how many of them that were submitted, nothing happened, I mean, really with them, or they got referred down or pled out or went to a misdemeanor or a different category.
Yeah, we can provide that, and I gave you some of that information, Mayor, is that 81% number are the felonies. So out of all of the cases that we've charged here in Coolidge, 81% are felony levels, so we're not dropping those down. And those are pretty consistent year over year.
And you've given this presentation to other cities?
I have.
How do we compare to I'm just saying, like, Eloy, for example, is similar size.
So I have not presented to Eloy yet. I'm going to be in Florence next week, so if anybody wants to come. But I think every town has their own distinctive characteristics, which is one of the reasons why one of the policies in my office was to prosecute locally, understand what's happening in your community. Like, for instance, I'll use Maricopa as an example. Their issues are much different than here in Coolidge. We're seeing much more violent cases, more cases involving guns in Maricopa. And then if you go to other places, like we were just in Superior, crime rate is actually going down pretty significantly. And we're seeing increased prosecutions. We think some of that has to do with detention operations with immigration and customs and homeland security. That could have something to do with it. But every town is different, which is why we're presenting to you, because it's really hard to compare place over place. Like, the information and cost of ground will be much different than here in Coolidge. And I didn't think that that was fair to say Coolidge is doing better than Maricopa or something like that.
I don't think anybody's doing better, but than anybody else.
Yes.
I agree. But I know that when I worked for Pinal County, I can tell you that, especially in Superior, when certain individuals in a town that size, when certain individuals were in DOC, the crime rate went down significantly. And you could always tell when they were out because you started to have a lot more burglaries and assaults. So that's a pretty good indicator.
No, we agree 100%, which is why we're targeting those repeat offenders. And in some cases, as I mentioned, we're not giving plea deals anymore because some of those people are so violent that they should be locked up forever, or at least as long as possible. So we're really targeting those folks, spending our resources in those particular places with the hope that those people don't come back into the community and continue to commit more crime.
So your prosecutors are using the alleged and enhanced penalties then?
100% they are. And I mentioned that at least one here in Coolidge regarding school zones. And we're targeting even those types of crimes that kind of have been dismissed in a lot of places, like failure to register as a sex offender. We think those are important. Those are key indicators of things that are happening in your community that we can take care of and should prosecute heavily to hold people accountable for those circumstances.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Miller. Anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you. Mr. Shope?
No.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Mayor.
sir.
Members of the council, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming over. Okay, now we'll move into a public hearing. Item 4, to receive public comments on the rezoning of a certain parcel of land from planned area development to agricultural and neighborhood business C1 consisting of approximately 96 acres, 79.16 acres ag, 16.84 acres C1, more or less, located near the southwest corner of North Curry Road and West Woodruff Road for the site known as Infinity Heights. This is a public hearing. James, that's you.
Mayor, Council, before you tonight, this was the old Infinity Heights PAD. They asked for a rezoning. They want to lower the density from the PAD to more of a rural, ranchette type of a product. This went before planning and zoning last week and was unanimously approved for the rezone and bring them before you tonight. So I'd have to answer any questions.
Well, this is a public hearing. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody from Martin Valley out there? I'm just curious because it's right across the road.
We did have one individual call. She was in the corner there, and her only concern was are they putting a dairy next door, and that's not the case.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit to the east.
That was the only call.
Yeah,
Be there.
okay.
So they're still planning to build houses on it, it's just gonna be larger acreage?
Yes, sir.
All right. Seeing nobody approach. There's no questions up here. I guess we can move out of the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, and move into call of the public. This is a time where if anybody out in the audience wants to address the council on any issue that is not going to be addressed later in either the business items for consent or regular items, then come forward and give us your name and your address, and you have up to 3 minutes to tell us what you think.
Mayor, at this time, we've had a request for the Coolidge High School, CHS SAD, and STAN group to come before the city council to do a presentation to our fire department.
Oh, well, good.
We could invite the students that want to come up, and they'll address the council.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson and Council, and thank you for allowing us to present this gift to you and the Coolidge Fire Department. Our organization, the Coolidge High School SAD and STAN Club, is a collaboration of a national organization, Students Against Destructive Decisions, and Students Taking a New Direction, a statewide organization sponsored locally by Pinal County Public Health in honor of World No Tobacco Day. We embarked on a fundraiser to address our concerns and protect our community against house fires.
Smoking materials, particularly cigarettes, are the leading cause of home fire deaths in the U.S. According to the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, smoking materials cause 21% of home fire deaths and 5% of home fires in the U.S. annually. We are pleased to report that no major house fires in Coolidge have been linked to tobacco use. We hope that our partnership with the Coolidge Fire Department contributes to this and want to make more with the CFD in the future to assure this continues to be the case. Our promotion of No Tobacco Day and Tobacco Day of Action activities center assisting the fire department by donating these smoke detectors.
World No Tobacco Day is sponsored by the World Health Organization as a day to inform the public about the dangers of tobacco use on youth, adults, and communities. We and many around the world want to share our message of living healthy lives and to protect future generations in Coolidge on this day and throughout the year. In February, our club held a Healthy Heart fundraiser to be able to make this donation to you and our community. We are donating these smoke detectors to the Coolidge Fire Department for them to distribute around the community as they see need for.
The Coolidge High School SAD and STAN Club promotes healthy decision-making in other areas besides tobacco prevention. Through our Battle of the Belts campaign, we have promoted seatbelts use on campus, and our recent seatbelt survey recorded our highest percentage of seatbelt use in the history of the campaign. This semester, we include texting while driving observation, and in our campaign began a PSA to promote safe driving practices. SAD and STAN also promotes kindness on the campus through our Be Kind activities to our goal to reduce bullying and teen violence on campus.
Coolidge SAD STAN is committed to promoting healthy decision-making and healthy lifestyle choices in the Coolidge and are here to help you assist in any other areas as well. Do you have any questions for us?
You guys are pretty fast. Norma, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them leave their names with you. We don't want to, they're probably under 18. I don't know about the one in the white shirt. She's probably under 25, so get their names and numbers and
Yes.
before they leave for the record. We'll leave it at that. And, no, I don't have any. Does anybody else have any questions?
I don't.
Thank you for the presentation. You guys did a good job.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Thank you.
Council.
Great job.
How'd they raise the money? Well, of course, our attorney wants to know how you raised the money.
They can tell us when they walk by, I guess.
Yeah,
They walk by or-
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Do you guys want to turn that off so it's...
There you go. Good idea. Get one of them.
Real quick, I was actually a part of this organization because this organization started back in 1981.
and I was actually a part of it. It started out as a kind of a Students Against Drunk Driving organization, and it's kind of morphed into a public safety where the peers, it's peer driven, and it's where the high school and college level kids kind of get together and they take an interest in their community and public safety. So it's not just about the drunk driving aspect and the seatbelts of it. It's a lot of a public safety group. So, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Chief. Thank you, guys. And does the chief go to the meetings? Well, maybe you need to fine him a little bit of money. Yeah. All right. Okay, this is called the public. Is there anybody else? Norma?
No, Mayor, I do not have anyone else.
Okay. No, not seeing anybody else approach, then I guess we'll get out of call of the public and we'll move into approval of the minutes, 5 and 6. Approval of the minutes for the City Council regular meeting, April 13th, 2026, and City Council regular meeting, April 27th, 2026. Are there any corrections, comments, or any other matters dealing with those minutes? If not, I'll need a motion to act.
Mr. Mayor, so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move into business items for consent. Is there anybody up here on the council that wants any of those items pulled out for individual consideration? No? Okay, here we go. Item 7, consider approval of a request for a street closure along Northern Avenue from 6th Street to 7th Street submitted by the Coolidge Unified School District for the Coolidge graduation, PAC graduation ceremony being held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Item 8, consider approval of entering into a maintenance service agreement and addendum between Go Casero and the City of Coolidge Police Department for continued maintenance service of the Police Department Dispatch Center recording equipment for radio and phones for the Police Department. Item 9, consider approval of entering into a maintenance service agreement and addendum between Gosero and the City of Coolidge Police Department for continued maintenance service of the Police Department Investigations Interview Room recording equipment. Item 10, consider approval of entering into a cooperative purchasing agreement between the City of Coolidge and Power Tech Contracting LLC for the purpose of replacing 66 LED light fixtures for an amount not to exceed $57,000, utilizing the Fountain Hills contract number 2023-065, and authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Item 11, consider approval of entering into an intergovernmental agreement number IGA 26-001161-I between the State of Arizona, acting by and through its Department of Transportation, and the City of Coolidge for project funds for the Transportation Alternatives Grant for the Regional Park Multi-Use Path, City of Coolidge, authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Okay, I think that's it. Is there a motion to act?
Mayor Thompson, I move to approve consent agenda items 7 through 11 as read.
Second.
Okay, the motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. We'll move into business regular items. Consider approval, item 12, consider approval of the fiscal year 2026-27 benefit plans by remaining with Blue Cross Blue Shield as the insurance provider for medical, dental, and life insurance. Remaining with VSP through Principal for Vision, including the same carriers for all ancillaries, and authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents. Well, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, pretty good.
Good. Well, I just came out tonight just to see if you had any questions. I know Bridget put a packet together for you, so you guys should have been able to review everything. Lay of the land this year. Been doing this for 29 years, and it is the absolute worst renewal season I've seen. Average renewal this year is around 17% for most employers. across the board. That's where most all carriers are starting off. Your guys' actually came in a little bit below that in the beginning. We went out to market, shopped everything, and we were able to leverage and bring your medical down into the single digits, about 7.4. Starting up closer to about 12.5 is where it started. So technically, you beat the average this year out the gate, and we were able to bring it down quite a bit. We aren't looking to make any big disruptions, so Blue Cross Blue Shield is the carrier of choice for your medical. The dental is a bundled package, which also got you some more discounts. And so decided to hope if you guys basically vote for it, and that you'll be staying there. The life, principal, everything else is pretty much staying status quo.
Well, it didn't look like they got beat up too bad. I mean, the employees, and actually, I think you did a pretty good job considering the way
The
everything
way
was.
the year's
Yeah.
been playing out, yeah, you guys are actually did very, very well considering what the marketplace looks like this year.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or
No,
comments?
you just do a great job for us, Gary, and I really appreciate it.
I just got a couple of things. In the narrative here, it says that you did a competitive market analysis. What exactly does that mean?
So I go out to United, Aetna, Blue Cross. Go on all the different carriers. I look at like plan designs. So when I shop them, I take the current plan designs. I make sure all the other carriers come back with like plan designs, and then we compare costs. And then I sit down with the administrative team over here at the city of Coolidge, and we go over each carrier. I talk about what weaknesses they have, what their strengths are, network access, all that type of stuff, and then I make a recommendation.
Okay, yeah, because when I was just looking at some of the information, and I just saw Blue Cross, and I think United Healthcare and Cobalt, and that's why I was just wondering what that meant if you did go out to multiple carriers,
Yes.
including Aetna.
For example, Cigna declined, Aetna declined. They said they would not be competitive, so they didn't want to release a bid. You have
Okay.
EMI that came in at about a 16%. So I just
wow.
didn't include that in the packet just because it's way out there. You have UHC that came in pretty darn close, and Cobalt was they have packaged plan designs, nothing matched. So when you took the closest plans one way or the other, they were still much more expensive. So you saw some of the information that was the best of the best, and all the stuff that just was garbage. I didn't include it in your packets.
Well, and I think that's great because Blue Cross Blue Shield, you just can't get any better than that. I've had that before, and unfortunately, my employment right now with Aetna, but Blue Cross Blue Shield is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. So that's a great deal that you're able to keep that for us.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Aetna, not bad, but if you were to compare the two, the types of denials you get, access to prescriptions, Blue Cross is way ahead of what Aetna is.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I got Blue Cross Blue Shield, and my guy that shops it for me every year is Medicare Mike, his name is. And he said, don't ever get off that plan, because I tell you, it's a good one.
Blue Cross is actually the only carrier that works in all the counties in Arizona. There's no other carrier that actually has plans for every single county, including on the exchange as well. And so they've got, their network is pretty much top notch, better than anyone out there. So it's well worth it. They don't use a step-up basis on their RX cards like some of the other carriers do, which means had we switched to another carrier, sometimes some employees who have been taking the same prescription for 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it is, they actually have to go to a lesser prescription, see if it works for a while before they're allowed to go back to what they know that's working for them. And that kind of messes some people up. And so we try to avoid that if at all possible. By staying with Blue Cross, we were able to do that. All right.
Okay,
Any questions?
we're good to go? If we are, I need a motion to act.
Mayor Thompson, I move to approve item 12 as read.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have
Appreciate
a wonderful
it.
evening.
Okay, thank you.
Item 13. Ordinance number 26-05, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, rezoning a certain parcel of land from planned area development to agricultural and neighborhood business, C1, consisting of approximately 96 acres, 79.16 acres Ag, 16.84 acres, C1, more or less, located near the southwest corner of North Curry Road and West Woodruff Road, which is legally described in Exhibit A.
Mayor, Council, this is the ordinance for the, following the public hearing, changing the PAD zoning down to ag and preserving the C1. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions on this? Is the legal okay and all that?
We had it double checked, sir.
I
Okay.
looked at it, yes.
All righty then, if nobody has anything else, I need a motion to act.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 26-05 is read.
Okay, motion second. Norma?
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Saavedra?
Yes.
Councilmember Bagnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Shope?
Yes.
Councilmember Gillespie? And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, report from the mayor and council under city manager. This time we'll start down here with Councilmember Shope.
Nothing to report tonight.
Councilmember Gillespie?
Nothing really to report, just, hope all the moms had a happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Steve?
I have nothing to add.
Just a couple of things. First, I just want to remind everybody, coming up on May 23rd, the Day of Remembrance for Memorial Day, that's Saturday or the Memorial Day weekend. They're going to be putting out the cross with the flags, and then they're also going to have a pancake breakfast, which includes sausage, bacon, and eggs, along with coffee and juice. And this is the same thing you get out at a fly-in breakfast, but it's going to be for free. So that's one of the nice things about it. So come out early, participate, putting the flags and the crosses up, have breakfast, and there's a ceremony at 9 o'clock. The mayor will be speaking at that as well. And so just come out, support our veterans, and let's remember everybody that, served for our country and for our freedoms. The only other thing, I also want to express my condolences to the family of Jason Robles. He is the young man that lost his life up at Canyon Lake over the weekend. And I also want to express my condolences to the family, friends, and the students at Imagine Prep Coolidge High School. And the family, I think a lot of people may know, they do have a GoFundMe out there, but they also are accepting payments through Zelle. And as you know, GoFundMe takes a percentage, but they're also doing Zelle payments. And we know a young lady that had taught this young man when he was back in like second and third grade at Imagine schools, and she did have the Zelle for the mother, and I have that with me on my phone. So if anybody is interested in Zelling or GoFundMe, I'd please encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Get a hold of Councilmember Bagnell. Gilbert?
Yeah, quickly, Mayor, we had a trampoline that was picked up, we think, by probably a dust devil, and it flew into the power lines on Saturday late afternoon. So we had to get APS out, got it right away. They replaced the pole and fixed it. It was about 6 blocks that were out of power. So we were looking to see if we had to activate our CERT team, but we didn't. They got it back on pretty quick. It was a warm day. Just encourage everybody to tie down their trampolines to a tree or something, because you never know, a dust devil, or even there was before, I think, one of those pop-up tents with the, with the metal legs went up down Main Street probably a year ago and knocked the power out to City Hall and everything else for a while. So it's to encourage everybody to tie those things down so they don't fly off. Also, first things first, had an event, Child Care Forum last Thursday, and that went really well. We talked about child care for businesses. The chamber sponsored that, so it was an event. We had to talk about that. And Cabot just had their graduation this past Saturday. It was really full. It was good. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. Yeah, that Cabot moving along celebration was a pretty big event. It went very well. The only other thing I'll say is like, we got rid of our trampoline because it wouldn't stay in the pasture. It kept moving along whenever the wind blew, so it's gone now. But that's it. Need a motion to get out of here.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it.